President Muhammadu Buhari has been traveling around the world lately and is in South Africa for the second Intra-African Trade Fair 2021, part of the mission to seek funds for the nation. And the Association of University Lecturers have threatened to down tools again if the federal government failed to meet its obligations. Hello, everyone. Warm greetings to you, wherever you may be watching tonight. I'm Sean Kimbale. Welcome to the program. Tonight, our focus will be majorly on education and investment. Education, based on the threat lecturers are given to the federal government, they've issued a warning that the federal government must keep to the promise they made to them. If this doesn't happen, they've given a 3-week ultimatum to the federal government, which they will go on strike. Nobody wants to see that happen. We hope to hear from the lecturers tonight and hopefully get the federal government also to react to some of these issues. On the other hand, is the investment drive that President Muhammadu Buhari is marketing Nigeria and seeking funds for investment in Nigeria. We get a sense of the mission of the president in South Africa on the show. But before we get started with the conversations, let's tell you about some of your political stories in your political roundup.
Nigeria's democracy would have been truncated if not for the timely intervention of the judiciary. These were the words of the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Tanko Muhammad, at the opening of the 2021 All Nigeria Judges Conference in Abuja. While asking for total funding and independence of the judiciary, Justice Muhammad admits that it may be difficult to be impartial and objective in a democracy where the judiciary remains financially tied to the executive.
I yield to the fact that it may be difficult for the judiciary to be impartial and objective in a democracy where it remains financially tied to the executive.
The Inspector General of Police, Mr. Usman Al-Kalibaba, says more needs to be done to devise new strategies to contain emerging security challenges. He made the statement at the opening ceremony of the second edition of the Interpol Week in Abuja.
A lot still need to be done. We need to keep up our collaborative efforts, devise new strategies, and build enduring partnership to contain current and emerging security challenges.
The second edition of the Intra-African Trade Fair has kicked off in Durban, South Africa, with several African leaders, including Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari, in attendance. The theme is focused on the newly launched African Continental Free Trade Area, AfTA. Over the 7-day event, more than 1,000 exhibitors from across Africa will showcase their goods and services. Over 5,000 visitors are expected to attend. Addressing the conference, Chairman of the Advisory Council of the Intra-African Trade Fair, former Nigerian President Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, highlighted the importance of the event to the success of the African Continental Free Trade Area, AfTA. President Muhammadu Buhari made the comments. No African country should be left behind in economic development. President Muhammadu Buhari made the comments at the opening ceremony of the Intra-African Trade Fair in Durban, South Africa. President Buhari, while urging other African leaders to support local entrepreneurs, highlighted that Nigeria has made significant strides in the diversification of its economy in the last 5 years by putting in place policies that support investment in key sectors.
On the public sector side, governments must support local entrepreneurs to build scale and therefore improve productivity.
As the next general election draws near, the people of Kwara North across party lines are united in their clamor for the zone to produce the next governor in the state. At a press conference in Ilorin, people of the zone, who are members of different political parties, noted that since Kwara Central has governed for 16 years and Kwara South for 8 years, the onus is on them to produce the next governor, having ruled for just 2 years since the emergence of democratic rule.
This forum was brought out across parties like APC, PDP, and any other political party that exists in Rwanda to agitate for the position of governor to come to Rwanda as a district called 2023.
Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. So let's get talking. Education is a critical aspect of our life here in Nigeria. And anywhere in the world, for development to happen, education must be guaranteed. But in the situation where uncertainty bedevils our education system, there is trouble. This time around, university lecturers are threatening to go on strike, and they're saying that the government, the federal government, that is, has not met with its obligation and promises in May 28. And so, the Academic Staff Union of University, ASUU, has issued a 3-week ultimatum to the federal government to address all issues in the December 2020 agreement. The ASUU President, Professor Emmanuel Oshodeke, gave the warning today in Abuja at a press conference. He warned that the union might be compelled to embark on another nationwide strike should the government fail to implement the memorandum of action signed with ASUU prior to the suspension of the last industrial action. According to the ASUU President, all the issues, including those of unpaid academic end allowances and the university's revitalization fund, have not been addressed almost 1 year after an agreement was reached.
In another few weeks, it will be 1 year since our union patriotically suspended the 9-month strike action occasioned by the federal government's refusal to implement the 2009 agreement and the several MOU and MOA. You are all aware of this, that based on the agreement we reached the government in December 2020 and the promises they made, we suspended that strike. But unfortunately, as we speak so, virtually all the items in that MOA have not been implemented. The 30 billion revitalization fund for public universities purported to have been kept in a dedicated account at the central bank was yet to be disbursed, even when the majority of vice chancellors have successfully defended their proposals as condition precedent to accessing the fund. 2, earn academic allowance. Similarly, as at today, that fund have not been released to the universities. And our union yesterday have given the government 3 weeks. 3 weeks within which to address all these issues, or the union will meet to take further action. It is painful that our union may soon have no other way of securing the pension of FG and ASUU collective bargain agreement and redressing the criminal neglect of welfare of our members by state government. Government of Nigeria should be held responsible should ASUU be forced to activate a strike. It's patriotically suspended on 23rd November 2021.
That's the ASUU President there at the press conference in Abuja. We'd like to tell our viewers that we reached out to relevant senior government officials who are supposed to be interfacing with ASUU, these university lecturers. We've spoken to them to be on the program. We're hoping that they will honor the invitation so that we can get exactly clarity on what the government is doing. But let's speak with the president of the Association of the University Union, that's Professor Emmanuel Oshodeke, who joins us virtually. Thank you so much, Prof, for joining us tonight. It's interesting because here on this program, we followed the event that led to the last strike and how it all was resolved momentarily, albeit promises made about the demands that you were seeking for. But how did things get bad again? We thought that things have picked up and your conversation with the federal government was on a good start and things were resolved. You left it off where the Minister of Labour, Chris Ngige, said that on the 30th of October, for example, the revitalization fund was going to be disbursed. So what happened?
Thank you very much. Like you rightly said, these promises have been on since January, and we gave them all the opportunity. But in October, they promised us that by the end of October, all these issues would have been resolved. That the 30 billion naira would have been paid to the universities, the end academic allowance would have been paid to the universities that need that. We're supposed to review, test our solution, which is UTAS, University Transparency and Accountability Solution, which we have produced free for the government, would have made their report available and discussed, and the process of applying it to the university would have begun. And they will address the issue of shortages, improper payment of salary by APIS, and all sorts of things going on in APIS would have been resolved. This was some of the issues that the issue of our innovation, which we have finished in May. The government will set up a small committee to review it and revert back to all before the end of the year. None of this have been implemented. And it's very sad. Those who were at the meeting in October had how excited the minister was, Minister of Labour, when we were really not this issue that definitely all the issue would have been resolved. But today, we're middle of November, 5th of November, and these issues have not been resolved. That is the crisis that the system, the government, is pushing us to the wall again, and we have no option but to see other ways of getting this issue resolved.
Your predecessor in office, being right here in this studio, when we had a conversation, things got heated and there were interventions. The Ministry of Labour, the Ministry of Education, we had the Minister of Labour right here on this program with promises made. But let me ask you, when was the last time you interfaced with the Minister of Labour or a Minister of Education or any government official to remind them of their promises?
I think on the 21st of October, around that day, I'm not so sure of the date, but it was in October, middle of October, that we met the Minister of Labour, called all of us, and all the parastatals, people from the Minister of Finance, Budget Office, people from the Minister of Education, National Universities Commission, NIPDA, and all these were involved in the meeting we had to resolve this issue. And with all the ministers being present, we were so sure, and they promised us with timeline that all the issue will be resolved. But today, none have been resolved. And they have not even got back to us to say this is the reason why we are not resolved them, which is what normal thing to do in labor negotiation. If you have an issue, you should let the people you negotiated with, you should let them know. But we don't believe there's any issue. Because if you say they showed evidence of a bank statement from Central Bank, so that 30 billion was actually there, and it's not disbursed, there's something wrong somewhere.
I mean, one of the allegations by your predecessor and the last ASUU leadership was that government was insincere. Has anything changed from that standpoint?
Well, if you promise a labor union like ASUU, first that at the end of August, you would have solved all these problems, and ASUU, and you didn't do any, and ASUU also have patience. September ended, you called the same labor again in October and promised that by the end of October, all this issue would have been resolved. And then we are in November 15th, and none of them have been resolved. And the country, thank God, that meeting we had, the press were there, they were there, and they were told that this thing will be resolved by the minister. But today, none have been resolved.
Let's take some of these issues. So I wanted to ask you, is it a matter of technical problem or insincerity? Because those are the allegations that are made. The government was trying to clarify that there were technical issues and they were going to resolve them. There are issues of the demands they made on your association, things that you were supposed to do that you needed to get back from them. They formed a committee to look into it and all of that. But ASUU at the time said it was simply insincerity of government. Does that stand still remain, or things are different, or you think that is some technical issues of bureaucracy of government that is delaying some of the actions of government?
Well, thank you very much. This issue is between the Nigerian public. It's within the Nigerian public now. We have followed all this. We have been patient as usual. We have been very patient. Our members have been patient. We have some who have not got salary for 24 months, 12 months, but they are patient. There are people who have been paid all sorts of form of salary, but we have been patient. And we are here again. I think we want to appeal to the government and to Nigerian people that if anything happens, whatever is the outcome of this insincerity or the lack of way to implement agreement reached with the union, the government should be held responsible, not the union. But the union have been very patient, have been very considerate, but there had to be a change.
One of the issues raised by ASUU is that some of your members are being owed salaries, several months of salary backlogged. Has that changed? Has anything changed? Have they been paid? Is anyone being owed at the moment as we speak?
Please, can you come again? Please come again, sorry.
I said the last time we had this conversation, the former ASUU president told us that several of their members in different universities are being owed several months of unpaid salaries. Does that still persist, or things have changed? Have those salaries been paid?
Does that still persist, or things have changed? Things have not changed. Although a number of them have paid, but quite a number of our members are still unpaid as I speak to you. So we paid for 4 or 5 months, and then they will stop again. And then after some time, they will start. All sorts of things going on. In some branches, our members are paid completely unknown salary. You heard recently where a vice chancellor said that when the children did so-called IPs, that the first month he was paid the salary of a graduate assistant, which is the lowest salary scale in Nigeria in the academic salary structure. That problem is still there. When this IP started, we told the government that the IPs cannot address the problem in the university because the university salary is different from all others. The university structure is different, but they forced that thing on the system. And today, I can assure you, no foreign lecturer will want to come and teach in Nigeria. Why our members are going outside of other country to teach? No foreign lecturer will want to come here for adjunct because it won't be paid. And the university is universal. You should have lecturers from all over the world teaching our children, teaching our students. But today, they have all left. And I can assure you, the best brain are also leaving because we are gradually destroying the Nigerian university system for whatever reason. And the reason is very clear. Those who are in charge of this issue don't have their children in the Nigerian university system. They're outside. If their children were in the university system, they will not allow what is happening today to happen in our university. And therefore, all of us, all Nigerians, we must come with this. We must insist and tell our leaders that if they want to lead us well, let them bring all their family members and children back to our university and see if they will treat the university the way they are treating it today. That is the problem. If their children are here, they will not allow that. You not see them once in a while hanging around with their children, graduating in university in UK, in America, and what have you. Why our university are being gradually destroyed? It was not how it was in the 60s and 70s and early 80s.
I'd like to ask you, because you were, the last time, remind us, how many months of you were on strike, your members were on strike? I guess it was in the list of 5 or so months or 4 months that your members were on strike, isn't it?
Yes, you're right. More than 5 months.
I mean, so the fear is this distortion how it is impacting on our education system. And the ASUU strike and the incessant break in the academic calendar, how does this impact on our education system in Nigeria? Are you worried about this?
You see, for me, what should be worrying Nigerians is not the issue of strike. What is the quality of material, teaching materials that you have in the Nigerian university system? That's what should be worrying us. What is the quality of people we are producing from this system? That should be what is worrying us. As I can tell you today, when we did the assessment program in 2012, we went to a first generation university and they were using stove as a Bunsen burner. Listen, if you watch out, in the 70s, 80s, and 60s, and early 90s, were you hearing of building collapse in Nigeria? Today, is there any week you don't have a building collapse? Don't you ask yourself what is responsible? What would Nigerians be talking about is the quality of people we are training in our university. Is the quality of lecturers you have in the university, the quality of laboratory equipment you have in the university, the quality of environment where lecturers will have a point to teach, and ensure that those who are coming out for the system are not garbage in and garbage out. That is what should worry Nigeria, not the one that's long the children stay. And that's what I'm saying. That when you go to other university in the world, go to other country, they devote a high percentage of their annual budget to education. But today, what do you have?
I mean, is ASUU being considerate in some of these issues? Because when you take to strike, if you balance this conversation, is ASUU being considerate in your approach to things?
You see, what we are doing today is fighting for the future of Nigeria. What we are doing today is to show that Nigerian graduates compete well with graduates from other countries. When I was a student in a state university, Rivers State University of Science and Technology then, in my department, and you can go and investigate, there were lecturers from 5 different countries: Nigeria, Sierra Leone, and 3 other countries. Today, there is no university in Nigeria you have up to 1% of the lecturers being from outside the country. And that's what a university is. If you go to our neighbor here, Benin and Ghana, you see people all over the world teaching. So what we're talking about, we should not look at strike as the problem. We should look at the system as the problem. Strike is just a symptom of the problem you have. I can assure you, any day the university start working, ASUU will never go on strike. But the university will have to make them work. And one way of doing that is tell the political leaders who are killing the university to bring their children back home.
So when we wonder that most of these strike are basically seeking the interest of the lecturers, isn't it?
That is completely wrong. Look at the issue we listed there. You have the issue. Let me list them for you. The first one is need as revitalization fund to revitalize the Nigerian university system, to ensure that you have enough equipment, you have enough lecturers from all over the world to teach in our university. Number 2 is that there is a need to amend the law of creation of universities, so that before you start a university, you should have all that you need that is required to fund that university adequately. It's one of them. We have done the law in the National Assembly. Those are all national issues. Our renegotiation, when you look at it, there are 4 major headlines in the renegotiation. It's only one that is devoted to the welfare of staff. So we're not talking on NISDA, which is our UTAS. Today, the IPs we are using today is a foreign program that we are paying for on daily basis, on yearly basis. The government is paying for that program on yearly basis using our scarce resources. But we have produced the one that will solve all the problems, not just in university, that will solve all the problems for salary payments around the country. These are patriotic things we're talking about. We are talking about research funds.
So, but as
research is not about the
Prof,
lecturer, it's about the system.
as the government accepted that platform in which
which
you presented to them as alternative to IPs.
Yes. We have produced that. They challenge us that we should produce. And it took us less than 4 months to produce that UTA. We call it University Transparency and Accountability Solution, which we have done. And they insisted that we haven't done it, it must be tested by NIFDA. And we said, okay, first, we presented that program to the office of the Senate President, and nobody supported it. We presented the program to the office of the Accountant General of the Federation, and nobody supported it. We presented it to the office of the Vice Chancellors and Bursar and Registrar, and no fault. And the finally said we should present to end users, which is staff from the Bursar unit and Registrar of the university, and we did. And the last time we met, they said it passed through, there was no problem. And the question is, why are not releasing it a homegrown program that will cost this country not a kobo, that will ensure that all our data remain in Nigeria? Why are they delaying it? This is the question we need to ask the system. So it's not about
I'm looking at it again from the point of view of students and parents who've had their children for almost a year or more because of COVID were sitting at home doing nothing. Now, strike came in the year 2020. These children stayed at home yet again, and lecturers perhaps also were not working at the time. I remember that the government was threatening that it won't pay salaries if they do not work. So the question is that, is strike the best option to make government see reasons, and is it in the national interest?
Thank you very much. You see, like I said, my children, they are in Nigerian universities. So it's not about maybe other people's children. Let me tell you, we don't love strike. I have been in university for more than close to 30 years now. In the past 15 years, I'm not going on leave. Because when we come back from the strike, we'll have to cover all the backlog of what we have left behind. And you can check the system. The university where I lecture, Michael Okpa University of Agriculture, we have not lost a year. So we go back and work for those years, those periods I should use for my leave to work for the system. So we are patriotic, and you can check. So, but if you have reached an agreement with two groups reach an agreement and a memorandum of understanding in January, based on which the union called off a strike, and government said within 1 month we will solve all this problem. And today it is 11 months and they have not solved the problem. So what should you do? We want Nigeria to tell us what we should do next. If one, somebody has not been paid for 20 months. Two, the money to use to upgrade our facility have been reduced, have been withheld. Three, the agreement we have reached between their team is just kept in the cooler. So what do you suggest that as lecturers who are patriotic, who want Nigeria to move forward, what do you suggest that we
All right. Professor, we have just about 40 seconds to wrap up this conversation. And I'd like to, you spent several years in the Nigerian education system, and I'd like to ask you, in your own view, what do you think is the solution to this incessant strike or this situation of our low education system in Nigeria? How do you think we can solve the problem of education, the system as it is right now in Nigeria? Just about 30 or 40 seconds.
Thank you. Very simple. One, all the agreements you have with the union, the university, go and implement them. They are not difficult to implement. Two, devote the appropriate percentage of our budgetary system are recommended.
Who seems to have lost connection with Professor Victor Oshodeke, the president of the Association of University Union Lecturers who are threatened that they will commence a strike action should government fail to meet its obligation, some of the promises made to them. Well, more sincerely thank Professor Oshodake for talking to us tonight, and we hope that government in some way will react to these timely, of course, and meet these demands so that these children will not stay at home any longer. Let's take a break, everyone. And when we come back, our attention will be on the investment drive of the Buhari government. President Buhari is in South Africa. What is the mission there? $40 million US. Is that the focus of this government to get out of that conference that is happening in Durban? We get details of the mission there in South Africa after this break. Join us again, everyone. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us right here on the program. Let's shift our attention to the mission of President Buhari in South Africa. So President is in Durban. He arrived the city from Paris as part of his ongoing socio-economic diplomatic missions aimed at enhancing security and economic transformation of the country. The president is attending the inauguration of the second Intra-African Trade Fair, IATF 2021, and is conversing support for the implementation of the Free Trade Initiative, listing several benefits to the continent, including doubling trade in 10 years and reducing over-reliance on imports. The Nigerian president expressed concern that most of Africa's existing challenges, whether security, economy, or corruption, can be traced to inability over the years to domesticate the production of most basic requirements and provide jobs to a teeming and dynamic youth population. Expectations are that the efforts in Durban will help in attracting to continental trade investment deals worth about $40 billion US.
Most of Africa's existing challenges, whether security, economy, or corruption, can be traced to our inability over the years to domesticate the production of our most basic requirements and provide jobs to our teeming and dynamic youth population. Under the African Continental Free Trade Area, we can double our African trade by 2030, reduce our reliance on imports, and therefore create more jobs within the continent. We cannot achieve this goal by talking alone. The implementation will be a difficult journey, but all challenges are surmountable if both the public and private sectors collaborate. On the public sector side, governments must support local entrepreneurs to build scale and therefore improve productivity. This means providing incentives to encourage our businesses to formalize and comply with laid down regulations. Let me assure you that Nigeria has come to Durban in full force to actively participate in this very important trade fair and take full advantage of all the opportunities it provides.
President Buhari there saying Nigeria has gone to Durban in full force. Let's find out the drive behind this force and what it will benefit the Nigerian people. I'm now being joined by Mr. Garba Shehu, who is President Buhari's media aide. He joins us from Durban in South Africa. Thank you so much, Mr. Shehu. It's good to see you again. Before we delve into the matters that took the president and yourself and some of the team to South Africa, let's ask about you. Probably you've heard what the ASUU president was saying on the program. They've threatened that they will go on strike because government has not met the obligations it made to it, and they're threatening that they will resume strike in 3 weeks. Is the government, is the president aware of this, and what exactly is happening?
Well, if I understand you correctly, Sheung, I want to say that President Buhari is here in South Africa mainly as a salesman for the business opportunities that Nigeria has and is offering to Africa through the African Continental Trade Agreement. We have signed on to it. Most of Africa has signed on to it. It has gone into effect from January 1. Now, how can we trade better with each other? As we speak now, Africa controls only 3% of world trade, global trade. And between themselves, Africans trade only up to 15% between themselves. The rest they do with the countries outside the continent. So it's like we're taking our wealth and throwing it, across the oceans and to nations and the continents other than our own. So President Muhammadu Buhari has come in at the head of a big Nigerian delegation, and he is marketing Nigeria. Nigerians were there a year ago in Cairo, Egypt, when this thing happened. Nigerians naked deals worth more than 3.3 billion US dollars. We are hoping that this year it's going to be much better.
The question I wanted to ask you to react on behalf of the president on the issue of ASUU Strike before we go into a mission in South Africa, because back home here, lecturers, university lecturers will down tool, and what that means is that our children are going to be staying at home yet again. They've done that for several months in 2020. So that's what I wanted to ask you. Is the president aware that the lecturers are not happy and the federal government has not met its obligations and the promises made to these lecturers? Universities are maybe shut again.
I hope that does not happen again. I have not been briefed about this issue, and so therefore I cannot say just anything on it. I believe that the Minister of Labor, Minister of Education are in the best position to say something about this. Is the president aware? The president is briefed about ongoing matters on everyday basis. So whatever is happening, he is fully aware. But have I discussed this with him? No, I have not. So I cannot speak for him on this matter.
But I think that if you are able to speak with the president, do tell him that these lecturers, they spoke on this program today and are very unhappy about the situation. They feel that the government is perhaps not sincere about its promises. They're being told they were going to settle all of these issues, that nothing was wrong and everything was going to be okay. The president of ASUU was speaking earlier on the program, and we do hope that our children will not go back and stay at home idle yet again. But so let's go into the mission, the global mission of this administration in seeking funds for development. Is this a deliberate effort made by, because we've seen the president go from country to country, and the drive, the conversation is being investment and seeking funds. Is it deliberate or is it just coincidental that these things are happening?
No, this cannot be accidental. Of course, it is planned for. Look, the world was shut down practically so for more than a year because of the epidemic. And gradually the world is reopening. Now, so what is wrong? President Muhammadu Buhari is making an early start, and he's engaging the investment community in all of these countries that he has visited, and he's asking, come, because look, the effect of the epidemic on Nigerian economy has been perhaps a lot more severe than it was for other nations. But thank God we are able to manage it well and come out of the recession that it induced and all of that. However, to create jobs for the teeming young population of this country, to make the most of the opportunities, human resources, natural resources that this nation is endowed, we need foreign capital in Nigeria. We need foreign capital to support our earnings from oil, and so that the dollar itself will stabilize, will further come down, and our people will be the happier for each other.
So in this South African trip, President left Paris. I would like to know the benefit that came out of it and some of the gains. Did the president meet his plan, the target which took him to Paris, and some of those things, the agenda to Paris? And for Durban, what is the agenda? What is the bigger picture?
Well, in Paris, the president had 3 major engagements. One is the Peace Forum. He has attended this every year. It's a global summit bringing world leaders to discuss how world peace can be achieved. Nigeria is missing from the table. It would be an enormous loss for our country. Now, the president also used his presence, to support a government of Nigeria convene international business forum, international investment forum that attracted French and Nigerian investors. It was a hugely successful event, very well attended, and I'm sure that in due course, commitments achieved by Nigerian businesses at that forum will be disclosed. And in addition to that, of course, Mr. Macron invited President Muhammadu Buhari to a state visit. So all 3 events were merged, and Nigeria and France at a government-to-government level met and discussed a lot of issues, of course, matters of investment. We had not looked in this direction for so long. Yes, English-speaking UK, America, and so on. We are surrounded by French-speaking countries. What are we making of the opportunities that France offers to our country? So this is important. And the president, of course, also gave an address at the ongoing UNESCO session, also in Paris. So 4 in 1. Here in Durban, South Africa, this is day 1. It is at the end of the engagement that we will count the gains. However, the president has done an exceedingly good speech at the event. And beside reading his address at the event, he has asked for cooperation between Nigeria, Africa Exim Bank, and the AFCTA, the Africa Continental. He has seen how they are working together, and he is quite pleased with that, and he wants to see more and more of that. So we are here in Nigeria. He had a chance to visit the Nigeria Pavilion. He was impressed by what he saw. The businesses from Nigeria that are exhibiting, we are hoping that they will rake in sales and investments that will make Nigerians happy.
All right, so before I come back to Durban, you mentioned the issues of our neighbors, the Francophone countries Nigeria share borders with. The issue of security is very important. What is the takeaway, a major takeaway from that will help secure our nation from that trip to and the meeting with President Macron?
Well, we have that France is directly involved in matters of security in the Sahel-Sahara. The G5, although that excludes Nigeria, but that is not to say that we are not interested in what is going on. So the discussions did touch on these matters, on the need to further strengthen French participation in these affairs. Because as it is, you can see, judging from public opinion in France and the actions of Mr. Macron, France is gradually disengaging from security matters in sub-Saharan Africa and the Sahelian region. The job is not finished. And we have to work together in order to complete the ongoing successes that are being recorded against Boko Haram and the ISWAP. So we are together in that. In addition to that, of course, Nigeria has a lot of military equipment, including, the Alpha jets that had been serving this country for so many years. We are in need of spares and all of that. And for God's sake, also matters of COVID vaccination, because this also impinges on security. And President Muhammadu Buhari did make the point, and we're hoping to get a better attitude, not only from France, but from manufacturers, major producers of vaccine, so that we too here can be free, can be safe from COVID.
But what can you tell us, what specific commitment or agreement or takeaway from the President Macron and President Buhari's meeting in relation to security? Was there any major thing that we can hold on to?
Increase the cooperation, increase the support, especially in intelligence sharing. Look, take it from me, these neighboring countries are independent states, but we know the kind of relationship they have with metropolitan France. Sometimes it is what you agree with France that cascades down to the continent. So the president is following a path that is well beaten, that is well known, and is sure that it will produce the kind of results that we want. We are hoping we'll work more closely with France and indirectly working much closer with French West Africa.
Let's go back to issues in Durban. Experts I read earlier today criticizing the government that is going around the world seeking funding and support for investment. And their criticism, especially from some of the details of what has been submitted in the 2022 budget, about how the government has failed to cut costs and cost of governance when it's seeking support for funding. Charity, they say, begins at home. I don't know if you saw that piece of article that came out earlier today. Is the federal government thinking, President Buhari government thinking in that light, seeking more funding, but are we thinking of cutting costs?
Sharon, you just challenged the government on matters of ASUU. And to satisfy us, what do you need is money. We need to bridge shortfall in the budget by borrowing money. So what are we talking about? In the same way ASUU and the others are pressing for money, we have soldiers who are being challenged by terrorists. We have bandits who are challenging the authority of the state. In fact, we have agitators in several parts of the country who are challenging the sovereignty of this country. And everyone is taking from the same basket. The hospitals are there, the academic staff, all right, and the military and the Ministry of Works. Look, everyone is taking from the same basket, and there simply isn't enough to go around. And yet there is urgency to bridge shortfall, the gaps that are missing in our infrastructure. Because without setting up efficient infrastructure, this country's dream for prosperity and development will just fly out of the window. So we are borrowing not because President Buhari wants to take money and pocket it. No, this government, there's functionality in its borrowing. There is direct link between what is borrowed and the ongoing projects, and for everyone to see. And the Ministry of Works, Ministry of Transportation, Aviation, they all bear testimonies to this, and all the sectors of the country. So much is going on in the country.
So no, the question I'm asking specifically, I'm not asking that we should not get funds. Funds are very important for development. I mean, critical areas, security, education, health, very important. But the issue of prudence is what I'm talking about. The questions that are being raised about how prudent this government is. For example, in the 2022 budget, the president has been criticized, or the president's office criticized, for the proposal to spend a whopping 1.6 billion naira on new vehicles. And also, I mean, it's been seen as that the president in the last 6 years has spent about 5 billion on vehicles. At a point in time that we say we do not have as much money. So the question of prudence comes to play when the government is going around the world seeking for support.
Well, the fact that government is buying vehicles does not mean that it is an imprudent government. Let me tell you this. There was a ban of procurement of vehicles from the period of the recession. We have come out of recession. This is a president who, when he came to the office, they had 400 million naira already in the kitty in the State House for the procurement of new vehicles. He looked at the cars there and he said, look, These are cars Mr. Jonathan left behind. They are good enough for me, and he has used them all these years. I will tell you this, on a particular day, the president's spare car, escorting him to the airport, broke down on the way to the airport. Isn't this embarrassing for a country such as this country, the president's car? So therefore, we have to renew them. And the thing is that when they are bought new, the president leaves office, the people who come after him will use them. So there is nothing that is being done that is irresponsible. That's the point I want to make.
So I would like you to be able to explain to Nigerians, if you think that the government has been responsible in its spending and in the manner in which it's spending, if you look at the budget, a lot of issues that are being raised. Is it the money that have been budgeted or proposed to be spent on the Villa Clinic, or the monies that is being proposed to be spent on buying new vehicles? If you can explain to Nigerians how prudent this government is to convince them that we don't have as much money, but give us 2-3 areas where you think that this government have been very prudent to convince them.
Well, I tell you this, that we have a platform monitored by the president of this country, monitored at the highest level. No 5 million naira leaves government treasury in any government agency without this being indicated and being seen. So what are we talking about? We're saying that we're quite unlike in the past, when people who are big in government will ask Central Bank of Nigeria and say, bring dollars, bring naira. In Ghana must go. This is no longer happening in the country. And this clinic that you mentioned, we have come to this show several times to defend the fact that the president's appointments abroad were necessitated by medical needs and the fact that he had been used to, the same process 30, 40 years going back. So what is wrong in setting up this first-class facility within the domain of the bill, so that it's not for President Buhari alone? When he leaves office, he's not going to take this to Daura. It will remain to serve successive Nigerian leaders. We are saying next, from now going forward, no Nigerian leader will have the excuse to travel abroad for medical treatment if this facility is fully established.
Is that a promise your government is making to Nigerians? Because that's not the first time you're hearing that.
It is a projection we're making. It will satisfy the needs reasonably of any Nigerian leader when that facility is.
What is going to be different from this facility that is not existent now?
It is going to have whatever is missing from existing facilities. Technical details, I'm sure Permanent Secretary of State House would give you all of that.
All right. Before I allow you to go, Mr. Shehu, so that you can attend to some of your activities and itinerary for in Durban, there has been this request, those who are clamored that the president should have spoken or should speak, or the presidency should naturally, as the head of the executive, speak about the situation we saw happen, the siege on the home of a Supreme Court Justice Mary Odili. Is there any reason why we have not officially heard from the office of the president?
Well, the constitution under our constitution, executive power is domiciled in the office of the president. Whichever minister exercises power, he is doing so upon consent, upon the permission of the president. So if a Nigerian government minister, in this case Attorney General, has attended to such a sensitive issue, take it that it is the president of Nigeria that is doing this, because that authority the Attorney General is exercising cannot be exercised without let by the president.
All right. Well, we'll probably take it that the Attorney General has spoken on behalf of the president. Is that the position of things?
Oh, absolutely. He has no authority, no basis to exercise power without the permission of the president.
All right. I most sincerely thank you, Mr. Garba Shehu, and I hope that you enjoy your stay in Durban. Try to get some new meals. Maybe that will change your taste palette that you experience in Paris. And do stay safe. Thank you so much indeed for your time tonight.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's Mr. Garba Shehu, President Buhari's media advisor. And that's how we end the show for today. Thank you, everyone, for watching. I'm Sean Kimbalwe. Bye-bye.